All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So there was a report that came out surrounding quarterback Russell Wilson and his potential exit from the Denver Broncos. As we stand right now, that's, of course, it's not official, but it's looking like it's going to be going down in that direction. And we look at Russell as a quarterback, obviously he can still play, right? He's coming off a 2023 season where he threw for 26 TDs, had 8 interceptions, 3,070 passing yards with a completion percentage just above 66%. I mean, those are respectable numbers, right? Of course, Russ might not be Seattle Seahawk Russell Wilson, but it's not to say he's not on the same level as like a Tim Boyle, if you will. He can still go out there and win football games. But the report suggests that Russell Wilson could potentially be taking a veteran minimum contract, and that's what the quote-unquote feeling is as of right now. And Jeremy Fowler was on ESPN, and he said that everybody I've talked to around the league expects the Denver Broncos at some point around the new league year in the next couple of weeks to rip the Band-Aid off and release Russell Wilson, even though they owe him $39 million in guaranteed money. But they can start new. He can go sign somewhere else. The feeling is that he'll sign for considerably less, maybe even the league minimum, because he's got all that money in hand guaranteed. So he's going to have options. The feeling I get from talking to teams and scouts is that he's still an NFL starter. There will be a job for him somewhere. And to quickly go down the list of, the QB needy teams, or I guess maybe the teams that make the most sense for Russell Wilson, I think right off the bat, the Atlanta Falcons, right? A clear upgrade over Desmond Ridder. You have Raheem Morris, a defensive head coach coming in the building, with Zach Robinson going to be taking over the offense, right? So Rams ties here. You would assume that the defense will get better under Morris. You would also assume that the young trifecta that the Falcons have in Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Bijan Robinson will be utilized more effectively, right? With a new system, a new play caller, new offensive coordinator, new staff in the building, there's going to be fresh ideas implemented. Atlanta right now sitting at spot number 8. There's rumors that, hey, maybe they could be interested in potentially acquiring Justin Fields. I think 8 might be a bit too high for, like a Michael Penix or Bo Nix or somebody like that. So maybe you can target a guy in round 2. But I think if you're Raheem Morris, somebody who's coming in so accustomed to winning football games, it might be in your best interest to go out and sign a quarterback, sign a veteran QB, and then maybe draft one in those mid rounds, right? And watch that veteran quarterback develop for a season. So people have talked about Tannehill, but I do feel like Russ makes sense for Atlanta. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers also make a lot of sense, right? Mike Tomlin obviously running the show. The defense is going to play well. Everybody knows this. But the offense, you just kind of feel like they're an offensive lineman or two plus a quarterback away from being like a consistent playoff team. Obviously, a lot of inconsistencies at the position last season. Could Russ come in and potentially right the ship? Maybe, right? I think there's a good chance of that. I think just objectively speaking, Russell Wilson is probably, looking at the quarterbacks on the Steelers roster, probably gives them the best chance to win football games. I don't really want to include teams like Washington, Chicago, right? Even New England up at the top of the draft. New England could be interested, depending on how Mayo feels about the top quarterbacks. But as Fowler pointed out, he will have options. But one kind of idea that's been thrown around out there is Russell Wilson backing up Aaron Rodgers. Now, I don't really see a situation where Russ would sign with the Jets to be the guaranteed backup for the vet minimum. And by the way, the vet minimum is a $1.2 million for, a player that's been in the league for 10 plus years. So, just at face value on surface level, if the Jets, news breaks, the Jets signed Russell Wilson to be the team's backup quarterback for $1.2 million, you literally cannot beat that. You cannot beat that. You're essentially getting one of, if not the best backup quarterback in all of football for $1.2 million. I mean, for perspective, Gardner Minshew signed, I believe, a 1-year, $5.5 million deal last season. These quarterbacks are really talked about going anywhere from 5 to 10. 10 being like the upper echelon top end backups, like the Jacoby Brissetts of the world. So, I mean, man, from a financial perspective, even if the Jets want to double that, right? 1 year, 3.5 mil, I would take that every single day of the week. Of course, there are a couple drawbacks though, right? Again, with the New York Jets trying to be interested in Russell Wilson. Number one, the storyline. The Jets, in my opinion, do not need any more storylines. And number two, of course, the elephant in the room, Hackett, right? Nathaniel Hackett has worked with Russell Wilson before in the past. Supposedly there was tension. Here we are again talking about a quarterback that just has not worked out working with Nathaniel Hackett. So would Russ really be interested in taking less money to be a guaranteed backup to work with Nathaniel Hackett? I just don't think so. Right, I think at the end of the day, he's probably going to identify a team that's young enough and on the come up that really needs his assistance, and he's probably going to be fine taking a little bit, or really a lot less. But in the event that he's open to anywhere, I would like the Jets to still make a call. With Russ, from Wilson's end, I don't really know what to expect. But again, from the Jets' end, we better not leave stones unturned here. I want the Jets to be targeting Gardner Minshew. I want them to be targeting Tyrod Taylor and Jacoby Brissett. Get the prices down and figure out the best option. I think at the end of the day, though, the Jets will put a big emphasis on, addressing backup QB. Brissett gives you think about this too for a second, right? If you sign a guy like Jacoby Brissett, you could essentially bring him in for a 2-year contract because of the uncertainty with Aaron Rodgers in 2025, where he would be turning 42 in the middle of the season, in December. That could be pretty enticing for Brissett because all of a sudden he can step in, a year, of course, be the backup this year, step in if anything were to happen. But in 2025, if Rodgers wants to retire at that point in time, he'd have a year on the bench, a year in the system, and he would be stepping into, I would imagine, a team with a lot more talent than, how we look currently, right, in late February here. The free agent acquisitions of 2 off seasons, 2 more draft classes loaded in. Brissett has shown he can win games. So just something to think about there. But anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section on Russell Wilson and potentially him taking the NFL minimum contract. And again, I really don't feel like the Commanders or the Bears are a realistic option. I really feel like it's either going to be Atlanta or Pittsburgh. And then we have the whole Justin Fields dynamic. Who's going to land him? Right? You kind of feel like Kirk Cousins is going to be back in Minnesota for at least one more season. It's looking like Carolina's probably going to be rolling with Bryce Young. It's tough to really pinpoint those teams that have like a direct need for a veteran quarterback. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.